people, and today we're bringing film on Daniel Brunskill, newest Miami Dolphins offensive lineman, just got signed, and I'm actually quite happy with this signing. If you've been following the stream, you know that I've been asking, for depth offensive linemen. I've actually think was a bigger need than corner. It was what I would target because I think if the season was to fall apart for the offense, it would be because of, obviously a two injury, but also O-line injury. I didn't trust the depth. I actually think Brunskill is probably your most reliable depth piece for a couple of reasons, and he was one of the better options out there. Only like a 1-year rental. He's number 60, but he has great versatility. He has played pretty much all 5 spots throughout his career. He's going to be more of an interior guy, I think, for Miami. Uh, but he has a lot of scheme experience, so he's a great scheme fit. Actually, early on last year, he was playing as like the 6th offensive lineman for Tennessee. Ran a lot of outside zone in his time at Tennessee. Even worked with Brewer when Brewer was the center there. Had spent time in San Francisco, obviously working that Shanahan scheme, which is great. So that is very nice. Excels in the outside zone stuff. I think he's going to be more of the backup guard, potentially backup center if that ever, is needed. But a 5-tool versatility guy that's got experience, can do work in pass pro and in the running game. Not going to be the biggest, strongest guy. Might get pushed back at times, but with what the scheme's asked him to do, I actually feel more confident than him. And then obviously guys like Liam. I do think Bourne will improve in the scheme. They're going to be playing a different role. He does a decent job out in space on screens. He's, a pretty aware player, pretty smart. You'll see some of these clips from these few clips right here are actually from a couple years ago when he played with Brewer. So he's right guard playing next to him. So, if you like the video, right before we break it down, leave a like, all that good stuff, comment, join as a member, you want early access. Training camp just about to start, so let's break this down. Right guard here, first play. Very impressive. On the backside of, this is a jet sweep, but this is basically similar blocking up front to how you would block outside zone. It's very impressive as a right guard to reach the nose tackle. Very impressive. Like you're going like a gap and a half over to reach your guy there. Takes a perfect angle, shows lateral quickness, and then gets his hat across. Get your hips across too. Get positioning, and now it's just you're in perfect spot. This is like a really high level plan outside zone. This was all from last year. He started off the year as like a backup, but then when they had some troubles, that's kind of where he's at. His point of career is like a high value backup, and I think as a 1-year rental, that's exactly what Miami needed, especially for his scheme fit. It's very, very, very solid. So really good work there from Brunskill. Get the hips across, get the hat. Very good work here. Titans run a draw. This is where you get to see just him working on space, taking great angles. I love this. When he's able to stay, like, under control, very good reps. Like, he clearly knows his responsibility on zero here. He's staying square, patient, showing a good base, just not allowing this guy to get in front of him. And he just gets to the exact spot he needs to be. Doesn't panic or anything. Now he gets control of the situation. Good job sustaining his block there. I wouldn't say he's the best, like, sustainer. Maybe have, like, the greatest grip strength. Maybe when he gets to second level, he can definitely do it on linebackers, hold his blocks for sure. He's more of like a quick get to a spot type of guy and then seal you with your body than he is more of a move you out of the spot. But like for a backup, I'll take anything when you compare him to the Dolphins backup. Here he's at center, so some center reps as well. Another good job just working laterally, kind of flying off the ball, squaring his guy up there, kind of just maintaining that. Not allowing the guy who's playing as like more of a shaded nose than a true one, but not allow him to get across on this outside zone rep. And he just does a really good job. Good base right here. Good knee bend. He's bringing his hips into the block too. When you're bringing your hips into it, it really allows you to like get control. I think it's a lot harder to shed players off when they can bring their hips into the block. So that's just really good technique, and that nose wasn't able to get out there laterally. Pretty decent pass pro work, I think, especially with what the Dolphins would ask him to do. Dolphins system is like actually pretty easy to function as an offensive lineman, especially in pass pro, because you're just asked to like jump set people a lot. So here Brunskill is just jump setting, getting into a guy early. Good placement of his hands, shooting. He has his inside hand dragging to the backside, and good job shooting. Boom, kind of stun the guy there initially, and then once he kind of gets tossed aside, he's able to recover, bring his hips back across, and then just not give up too much space in the pocket. I think Brunskill does a decent job with his recovery ability. You'll see some clips later on that were from like years ago. I wanted to throw them in at the end because he had like like, one of the better performances, it was from Braden Thorne posted on Twitter, but, like, one of the better performances you would see against Aaron Donald, like, years ago, that I thought shows off, like, the recovery ability. Here he is pulling out in space on a linebacker. Another good rep, just getting to his spot, good angles, cut the guy off. Maybe you wanna see it sustain a little more, but he does his job in that situation. Uh, Here he is kinda making another kind of late adjustment, so we'll watch him right guard, work out on this combo on 95 with the tackle. Kind of, you want to see him do a little bit better job attacking the low hip to create more lateral displacement. It does enough at least there to help him create displacement. And then peels off a little bit late, but is able to get onto 48, put his whole body into it to then help create that lane for your running back to work through to pick up a nice solid gain up the middle. That's something you got to be able to do in the Dolphin system. Different types of concepts, not exactly what Tennessee is running, but you got to be able to work some combos and climb. Oh, which I think Brunskill shows the ability. Here's another example of it. Combo up top, boom, get to the linebacker, kind of kick him out, create a lane for your running back to hit up. Just pick up a nice, these 4 to 6 yard gains. I think, he does a good job, especially with what you're asking from your depth. I would feel most confident with him in your game. Like, to me, he's your O line 6/7 guy, depending, because I think, they'll see Keon Smith, I think, is like the first tackle potentially. And I don't think they'll probably want Brunskill in at tackle, but I think he's like your first in interior guy. Personally, just based off the film, at least what I'm seeing. Another example here, working right guard. Pretty good job. You don't want to see maybe a better job there initially on 94 with this combo, but at least helps, his guy get control. And he does a great job after the fact. His eyes find 53. He knows where he's supposed to be, correct spot, and he gets his body in the correct position to seal off 53. Which is and he's able to sustain it long enough because this is kind of a long developing run. That 53 is not able to get to it across the field. Very good job there from Brunskill once he gets to the second level, maintaining that one. But it's just a positioning, very impressive. Here's one they actually asked him early on last year to play as like a 6 lineman. Here he is outside of the tight end, attached to the line, and they're using him as a seal guy. I wouldn't mind this. The Dolphins, I don't think they've ever done this in the McDaniel era, but they might need to. Brunskill's pretty athletic. Like, and here he is blocking the edge. They give the tight end some pretty difficult blocking assignments, and it's not like Julian Hill, Pharaoh Brown are going to give you much as a receiver, so might as well just throw the 6th offensive lineman out there. They get asked to block anyways a lot in pass pro. I wouldn't mind seeing that wrinkle added to the offense this year. Brunskill, again, right guard, just a solid block, reaching the one tech from the backside of this pin pull concept. You can see him just kind of fire off the ball, pretty good explosiveness. He has a pretty good first step, and then kind of squares him up, gets engaged, and then now you just work your hips across, slow down that momentum, and he's pretty much out of the play at this point. Cut back lane there for Pollard to work with. Like I'm saying, in pass pro, if I'm asking him to jump set, I feel completely fine. I would feel worried about him in maybe like true pass set situations, but that's just not what's asked in Miami. Jump set, get on the guy early, shoot one hand. He does a good job with independent hands. Like, he can shoot one hand, he can shoot two hands. Here, boom. Able to reset pretty nicely in these situations. Can help create a clean pocket. Maybe in situations could struggle from some power. Like, there gets pushed back a little bit. But is able to get a little bit of help and recover enough to maintain himself, not end up on the ground. Here's where you can maybe see him lose these levers. This one's a little messed up. This play, the timing of it is messed up. So I think the bad snap does hurt him from the center there. And it's a late pitch. I think if the timing's better, the running back may be able to get to the edge. But since it happened, Brunskill kind of gets pushed back. The D lineman's able to reset the line of scrimmage on him. He's able to lose some ground. I think that's an area you could see Brunskill potentially struggle with right there. 98.5 is able to work down the line of scrimmage and kind of force that play to go get messed up. Here's with Brunskill. Sometimes it's not about bullying people and, getting clean hits, but like Brunskill's not covered here up front on these, they're working like some pin pull stuff going on here, but very similar to what Miami Dolphins would do outside zone. It's similar what he would be asked in this situation is to climb the next level, don't do anything up front, and just cut off 16. And he's able to take a great angle. He kind of forces the linebacker to undercut him. If this linebacker's undercutting and Brunskill is able to just get a hand on him, he's never going to make a play on this running back in those situations. So I think Brunskill does a really good job in those spots. Here he is at center. Great recognition skills because he goes here. He has a screen. He sees 0, but he feels this. He looks at his teammate. After he identifies 0, he looks at his teammate, recognizes that his left guard will go out and take 0, and he's really the only threat. So he turns back to find 90, a defensive tackle who could potentially be in pursuit, and that guy could have made a play if Brunskill didn't go and seal that and block him off. Just really, really good work there. Here's some of the stuff. Here he is with Brewer working some stuff. Here, Brewer at center, him at right guard, and look at them just do a great job climbing, cutting off. Really effective, both of them, uh, with a lot of these. Just getting your hips across. Look at this fire off the wall. Look at this lower body. The way he opens up his hips and he's able to explode, show some bend in that lower half. Very impressive. And then now you're just sealing it off. That's what you're asking to do on a lot of these situations. Create, and when that Henry was there, they were doing a lot of that. Here climbs the next level. Get on a linebacker. Run skill. Just in these situations, I feel very confident with him on those spots. And he's not quite the same. He was better in like 2022, 2023. 2024 wasn't quite as good, but that's when he was a depth guy, and that's what, like, for a depth level player, I still think pretty solid, especially in the system that would be asked of him. Because I would even think he would feel even more comfortable with what Miami asked, because they're like the stuff he's good at, they did in Tennessee, but they do it even more so in Miami. It would just protect his weaknesses, and exemplify his strengths. Just a lot of reps here, working exactly what you would see in the Miami system here on the pull, kicking a guy out, going up to the next level, playing with some nastiness. And here's stuff from a few years ago. So this was when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. Versus the Rams. I'm not going to break this down too much, but look at the recovery. Aaron Donald, one of the best to ever do it. Just so good with his hands. Brunskill's lost in the situation. Look at him recover. Boom. And completely widen him. Another rep kind of doing it. Same thing. Get engaged with him too. Brunskill kind of loses. He's able to then recover, widen Aaron Donald again. Very impressive. Kind of same rep, this time to the inside after the outside, recover, finish. I'm not expecting this level of player, but I just wanted to throw that in there, just be like, hey, he's done some pretty impressive stuff when he was playing in that similar system to what Miami does right now, and he's pretty much throughout his career playing that stuff. So really like the signing. I think it's one of the better signings the Dolphins could have made with the free agents left, just at any position, honestly, and also at offensive lineman. I was thinking either Brunskill or Shaq Mason as scheme fits that could potentially be willing to play as depth guys, and clearly Brunskill ended up being that player. So if you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and